survey. And our presenter is Jim Parham from Trutta Environmental Solutions. And he was here, I think it was in August, maybe September, I can't remember, doing a bunch of high definition stream surveys in the river on the East Branch and the main stem and the West Branch. So he is going to do a little demonstration on what he was doing here and how it all comes together and what it involves. So Jim, are you on the phone? Are you on the Zoom? I can't see you. I'm going to turn it over to you as Jim.
It looks like he's trying to unmute and maybe he's not able to.
Okay.
There I am.
Oh, there he goes.
Everybody.
Hey, hi Jim, thanks.
Yeah, thank you for unmuting me, and thanks for letting me speak today. This is a really nice opportunity after coming up and visiting your area here about a month ago. I'm going to share my screen and see if I can make it work just right. Okay, and we'll turn this into a presentation. Sorry about that. The fun of Zoom meeting presentations. And does my screen show up for you all? I guess, Sherry, you will have to answer that.
Yes, it does, Jim.
It does, yeah.
Okay, so just getting back from lunch here, the couple funny things happening today. Of course, with Zoom meetings, most all of you are probably still working from your home, and as I am, and we're down in Tennessee, and I started out today and I logged into Zoom and my name had been changed to ARC Trooper Ordo, because like many of you, your kids have to use your computers while they're at home, and they play video games with their friends and do all kinds of chats. So I looked on here and all these professional names of folks I recognize, and I'm a Star Wars character. So that was a great way to start the whole Zoom meeting in the morning. And then we got a note on our door today that they're going to be doing utility work in our neighborhood and turning the power and water on and off. So that just happened about 20 minutes ago and everything's back on. So hopefully this goes smoothly. But again, I'll be talking about the high definition survey we completed on the Upper Delaware system just last month. And here's a little picture of it, and I'll just jump right in. We heard this morning, really interesting talks about the nature of funding in conservation issues and how to protect a river as important as the Upper Delaware. And I'd have to say thanks to a grant from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation that was in collaboration with the Friends of the Upper Delaware River, Division of Fish and Wildlife, the New York Department of Environmental Conservation, and Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission. And this is part of the 3-year Upper Delaware River Joint Fisheries Investigation Plan. And while I'll be speaking about a single topic today, this is actually multiple projects. The second project was funded through the Embrace a Stream program of Trout Unlimited and the Shehawken chapter of Trout Unlimited. And then we also worked with the the Upper Delaware Scenic and Recreational River with the National Park Service. So thanks everybody. This is a big effort with a lot of people involved, and it is really helpful for all the help in getting this done. The goal was to survey the east-west branch and the main stem from Hancock down to Callicoon and the lower end of Shehawken and Inquinaw Creek. So I'll explain what the high definition survey is here in just a moment, but this is the area we covered. We did the field work from August 31st to September 9th. So, just a little over a month ago, we returned from the Pennsylvania, New York area. This, of course, like every project, COVID has greatly influenced it. We had to test, and we also had to go through quarantine prior to this survey. So the strange nature of this year has flowed through all the field work and everything. But I do thank you guys again for putting up with all of that type of thing to allow this still to get done and have a successful project. So while we're surveying the river, what are we looking at? We're collecting information on water depth, velocity, habitat types, such as things like riffle run pool, bottom composition, the substrate or how rough it is, in-stream cover, water temperature. And we take all that information and put it together to assess suitability of habitat for trout and to use it to look at places where restoration could be helpful in the river. And as I show you that this was just completed in, a month ago, we collected about 8 terabytes of data on this survey. And this is not a complete project right now. We have completed the field work, and I'll be showing you some examples of that. But the upcoming analysis is in full blast right now. What is HDSS? It's really pretty simple. It's a spin-off out of a professor's work at the University of Tennessee. About 8 years ago, we spun this work out of the university. And it's a really simple idea. What they put on kayaks, all kinds of sensors, and ran down rivers, including video sensors looking to right and left banks so you could assess the conditions of the bank and the riparian area and different infrastructure. Forward-looking video for your habitat type classifications, canopy cover, down-looking video so you could see the bottom. We had in all kinds of different sonar to get depths and underwater imagery and water quality sensors. So we're getting all this at the same time. And in some projects, we also collect water samples at each outfall and things like that. But all of that is tied together with a GPS system in which all of this information is recorded every second. So we know exactly where we were, we know the location of it, we know the time of it, and we know the water surface elevation. So we're able to do an incredible amount of information with this approach that we used to have to go out and stretch tapes across the river and spend hours and hours on a couple 100-meter section. Now we're able to cover 10, 15, or 20 miles in a day. It's versatile. We can go on kayaks, we can go on inflatable rafts, we can put it on backpacks and hike. The backpack picture on the bottom is on Shawkin Creek. The picture, that's me, and the inflatable raft, that is from the Delaware River. What in the general sense is HDSS? Well, it's a way to collect data and classify that data in a very systematic approach. A lot of people have said that this is a lot like Google Earth or that Google Street View. And you'll see that it is in a sense. But in the design of it, it's nothing like that. The whole intent was to be able to collect long collections of information to allow it to be used for things like infrastructure assessment, going out and determining whether or not your stream banks are in good condition, determining how much water needs to be released from a reservoir. What is the quality of your water that's being released or not? Or where's the quality coming in from your tributaries? What is the habitat in various locations? How do you take that information and do outreach to folks so that they can see what the river actually looks like? And how can you map it all so it's super easy to understand? All of this stuff flows into the integrated planning framework that EPA supports for overall water management. And so we're trying to go away from a single survey for, say, fisheries. Now we have a single survey that supports all these water management uses. And this is a short example of what it looks like. This is on the east branch of the Delaware River, not far down from the reservoir. And it's beautiful. This is a beautiful river. We work all over the country, and we work in what I thought was some really nice rivers, and I was stunned how beautiful this river is. So I thought, being up in New York, close to New York City and things like that, it was going to be a wreck in comparison to a lot of streams and rivers we've been on, but it's just beautiful. I'll also say that in this picture, you're seeing the forward video right here in this off to the left and the right. We have underwater video. All of it's mapped so you know exactly where you are. And then you have sonar and side scan sonar. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But all of this has been done and put together for the 77 plus miles of the system. The side scan sonar gives us this sort of underwater image. I don't know if many of you know how side scan sonar works, but this would be the track of the boat going down. and it's throwing a beam off to each side. And as you move along, we almost get a black and white picture of the bottom. I can tell a lot about the roughness of the bottom, but it's also interesting because we can drag across here and get accurate measurements of all kinds of things, the size of the substrate, the width of the stream, and it can be ground truth with our underwater videos, so we know what this roughness type actually translate into reality. So we're able to take all this information, put it together, and get a really nice output. What did we see? Well, we saw a lot of beautiful rivers, so I will say that. But we also did see some problems. Here's an example of an eroding stream bank that these are the type of areas that you'd like to stabilize so they don't continue to put sediment into the stream. We saw a lot of Japanese knotweed, something I knew nothing about prior to this survey. It was all in bloom while we were there, so it's very easy to identify. And we saw in the places where landowners were trying to control it. And you can see an example of that right here, where the shoreline has been cleared and the knotweed is on the left-hand side. And then we also saw issues with water quality. And part of the point of this survey, one side of it is to determine fish habitat. The other side of it is to determine where the good and the bad places are and what actions you might want to do to improve water quality. And here we're coming down, this is on the East Branch. We're coming down the river here, and I'll let it run very shortly here. And I do realize it may be pixelating for some of you, so I'll leave it when it stops here. But we're coming out of crystal clear water, and we're going right now across a sediment plume. And it goes from crystal clear water to completely cloudy water. And this isn't, you can see the clouds. It's not like there's a big rainstorm going on or anything. So here we have a source of sediment coming into the stream that is a great example of some place that you may want to look at for a conservation project. Obviously, this is all geo-referenced. We know exactly where we were at every second. You just saw the boat coming around this corner and up into this little thing. Well, it doesn't take much to look at what's upstream and where the sediment is coming from. And I don't want you to take this as, oh, we should go out and find these guys. Economic development is important. People need jobs and things like that. This is a perfect example of where conservation dollars and things can be merged with business interests, because controlling runoff isn't that difficult a task in this day and age. So improving their soil retention is a quite normal project, and it could be done in collaboration with folks and have a win-win situation in this place. So again, a very short thing, so I'm going to blast through it. What did we see when we did the creek surveys? This is the lower end of Shehawken Creek. And one of the reasons that this information is so helpful is you go to Google Earth and you zoom in, and what do you really see with a lot of streams? You see the top of trees. The blue dots there are our actual path, with every single one of those points having information associated with it. And what does it look like as we walk up the stream? You can see both the left and right bank. You can clearly see the substrate. You can see the depth. The walking sticks are marked for depth. And we can gather a ton of information about exactly what's there and the condition that it's in. Very straightforward approach, and it's fast and quite easy. What do we do with that? We take the information and we go through here and classify the condition of each stream bank, each riparian zone, and the stream bed, and any discrete features like bridges or outfalls or anything we find in there. So we're able to then come back and say, this area is good, this area has problems, and what are these areas? And we can extend that to knowing the best management practices and their costs, so that you can have a very straightforward plan that says this would be the cheapest and best action to get the greatest ecological benefit for your system. So again, it hits riparian, stream bank, stream bed, and the features. Along with that, we did geo-referenced underwater fish surveys. That's me on the right-hand side, and we have a long pole. Everything's geo-referenced. You have a little video screen in front of you, and the Wi-Fi from the video camera is transferred up to your screen, and you can go through and look. And that is an exact picture of a rainbow trout sitting underneath a rock in Shehawken Creek. We absolutely see it. We have georeferenced video of the whole thing. And just to show you some of the other things, this is what it looks like when you look under. You have all kinds of fish tucked under rocks. Here's a little smallmouth bass poking his head out from underneath it. Very easy to identify the fish, to know each species that was in there, with the trout tucked up under the other rocks and another one in the far back end. And we saw things like this in Shehawken Creek. And there's a ton of different species in here. And part of what we have to do is go through and identify them. You're seeing a lot of suckers up front. There was bass swimming through here, creek chubs and shiners, and then you're going to see all the trout show up here in the back. And this is in the lower end of Shehawken Creek for those who are interested in it. And it is a very interesting way that we can quickly come through, classify habitat, species, and everything with a no impact approach. So to make sure I don't run over time, covering a huge amount of work, the field work is complete on the 77 miles of the upper Delaware River and the lower Shehawken and Quinault Creeks. The video has been compiled for nearly all sections. A little bit is left on one of the creeks. The assessment of the habitat and river conditions is underway, already starting to work through and do all the classification that needs to be done. And we hope to provide a much more detailed update to this, because there's a lot of implications for the information coming out over the next few months, showing the results of the effort. And I think I'm pretty much close to time. And with that, I thank you very much. And we'll hope to hear from you guys in the next few months.